I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about he's not ready for a relationship. Well, how many times do we hear that in our life where we feel like we have a strong connection with somebody and things are going well, we're having a lot of fun, and out of nowhere, at least for you, the other person says, well, I'm not ready for a relationship. And sometimes it's an excuse and people just say things when they don't know what to say for whatever reason. And sometimes, there is real truth to that because, a relationship takes a lot of work, okay? It means going there to give love, and be able to care about the other person's needs and feelings and thoughts and wishes, and also balancing what you are hoping to get from that person. But it's not always going to align at the right times, right? There are going to be times in our life where we just don't feel ready to commit to something like that because it can feel overwhelming. And it can feel overwhelming to a lot of people, but especially if you've had an avoidant attachment style. Okay, you've heard me talk about attachment styles for years now. And, the way we feel loved in our childhood, it feels like a certain level of comfort. And so when an avoidant gets into a relationship, it feels uncomfortable oftentimes to get a lot more love than they got as a child, but also having to maintain and care about consistently somebody else's feelings and needs, and it can be a lot for them. And, I see this a lot, and it can be really painful when it happens because you think it's going so well, and a lot of times you're just shocked by it, right? And so today I've got an email coaching that kind of talks about this, okay? This is from a couple in their early 30s. Now, they did jump into this very quickly because they lived together they were together for about a year, and they lived together for almost that entire time. So right away I thought, well, this is a bit of a red flag because, you don't really know this person yet. How long could you have been, have known them? It wasn't like a friend beforehand that you've known them for years, and then you just jump into moving in together. Okay? So this is from a woman, and she's in her early 30s. Oh, actually, I apologize. The guy, I forgot, was a little bit younger. He's in his late 20s, okay? And she's in her early 30s. So she said that he broke up unexpectedly. Just like I said. She said, we almost never fought. Okay, so he was living on one part of the country. She was living on another part of the country. But when they met, they were both in the same part of the country, which is, let's just say, neither ends. I don't want to say the states because it might give it away. But they were basically living on either ends of the country, and then they were in this third place together because they were working for the same company, okay? Now, they met during the pandemic, and they said... this was like in early 2021. And she said they moved in together after a month of dating. So like I said, they don't know each other very well. A month, that's jumping into things really quickly. And an avoidant will often get really scared by that, right? Not in the beginning, but after not too long, they're likely going to get freaked out. We met each other's parents and talked about having a family and buying property together. Okay, so That's major things we're talking about here. Planning a family and buying property together. Now, I don't know how early that was into the relationship, but it feels kind of early. Okay. They said after the pandemic, we agreed to move to a state together because of her job. Now, the state is where she was from, okay? He lived on the other side of the country. Let's just say that. Okay. She said, I'm 5 years older than him, and I wanted to do egg freezing because I didn't want kids now, but maybe in about 5 years. Okay, so she's planning for that. She's in her early 30s, and she's thinking that timeline. She wants to be precautious. Nothing wrong with that. He said that aligned with his timeline. He seemed very mature and secure. We had a very respectful and loving relationship. There was a lot of trust. But over time, I noticed he wasn't fully opening up to me, and I told him that I thought our relationship was lacking friendship. So she picked up that something was going on, her needs weren't being met. We made an effort to find common hobbies and strengthen our friendship, and things were improving. Yet, I could feel him being distant at times. Well, I think it's normal to be distant at times for even really healthy relationships. But as you'll come to see, I think there is more to it than that going on here. Like I said, they did jump into things very quickly. And they were talking about very serious things when they really didn't know each other very well yet. Okay. So, in early 2022, he went on a trip with friends, and I went to visit my family that lives in another country. He was not making a big effort to stay in touch. This made me anxious. I got upset and called him out on it. Well, I mean, you know, you're both on trips and having a good time. You're visiting your family. He's out away with his friends. And sometimes when people are on those kind of vacations, they just want to forget about the relationship in the sense that they just want to kind of be present in the moment on that trip. And anxious people can really get upset about that and feel like they're being abandoned and hyper vigilant that, something's wrong, when really they just might be enjoying being on that trip and being present there and not having to worry about that connection or the other person. And I think it's okay and normal to get like that sometimes. I don't think you have to worry about the relationship all the time. I mean, if he's away having a good time and she's visiting family, you know, it's okay to have a little break there. But I think she got upset, and I don't know if she lashed out at him, but this is what she said. He got hurt and later told me that this is when he decided to break up with me. Maybe she got a little over anxious and maybe lashed out a little bit at him, or maybe part of it was that he was kind of being withdrawn and wanting to be present on the vacation, and he's like, oh gosh, I can't even enjoy this vacation without her giving me a hard time about seeing my friends and family. I suspect a little bit of both was going on. Okay. After our trips, we traveled together, and I noticed things were improving. He was more open and laid back. In March, a few weeks before we were supposed to move, remember this is to where she lived, not him. He lived on the other side of the country. When I brought up the idea of buying property together again, he carefully shut down the idea. Well, you know, the idea of it sounded great and wonderful and amazing, but actually going through with it was a major step. She said, I called him out, and he said he was having doubts about our relationship. He didn't think we were compatible for our relationship to last for the next 50 years. Well, when you think about it like that, it's kind of overwhelming to most people. Maybe some anxious people are like, no, 50 years, I need 150 years. What are you talking about? But for the most people, when you think about it in terms of, oh my gosh, 50 years, wow, that's a lifetime. I'm not even 30 yet, and I'm thinking about the next 50. Yeah, when you think about it like that, it makes you really reevaluate things as opposed to kind of being more present in the moment and thinking about the the future and the near future, not looking at the end of your life, looking back. He said he loved me. I begged and pleaded. He said he had hope for us, but decided to leave and go to, now this is the irony, to the city that she was going to move to by himself. That would hurt, okay? Because it'd be like, wait a minute, you were living in this other part of the country, and now you're going to go to the same part of the country that I'm going to be at, but you don't want to be with me? That would hurt. He was trying to understand what was going on, and I think he realized he wasn't able to open up emotionally to people. Avoidants really struggle with that, even being self-aware of those things, because I think they've had to push those things out of their mind and not think about them their whole life. And so it's what they naturally, I think, do. I think it was a survival mechanism, okay? So if you have somebody that says they had an avoidant and that they had a good childhood, I call BS. Doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that, okay? I believe I misjudged his emotional unavailability for lack of friendship. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You thought, oh, he just doesn't want to be friends. We're lacking in that area, but it was really that he just didn't like connecting as much as you did. We kept in light contact, and he told me that he underestimated the importance of love in our relationship and was having a hard time. I'm not sure what he meant by that. Underestimated the importance of love in our relationship, like that there wasn't enough love, or how important love is. I mean, it's an odd thing to say. He told me he had never been able to be this emotional with anyone before. That's kind of telling. Couldn't be emotional with his mom. She probably would say, stop your crying. I don't want to hear it. Or something like that. You see what I mean? That's why they kind of stopped trying to think about those things. I told him I was going to that city in June and that I was also considering moving to the other end of the country, which is where he was from, which would be ironic if they wound up in opposite places, right? We agreed to meet up and see if we could give it another shot. He said he hadn't given up on us. In the summer, we met up and he started crying and telling me that he doesn't want to be in a relationship right now and wants to be single. Yeah. That seems like an honest answer, right? Doesn't sound like he's hiding anything. Maybe he is. Maybe there's a little bit more to it, that there's someone in particular. But my general consensus on this feeling is, no, I think he's just being honest. He's just saying, I'm not ready for it. I thought I wanted all those things, but now that it comes down to it, I'm getting a little freaked out. He said he's not ready to settle down and have kids in his 20s yet. Well, that's normal for a lot of people, right? Neither do I, but he wouldn't listen. Yeah, because I think at that point he had kind of made up his mind and figured you were probably just going to tell him whatever he wanted to hear there. I begged and pleaded for 2 days. He said that he might regret his decision, but stuck with it. We went into no contact. He went out partying and is on dating apps. And he just went on vacation out of the country. We don't follow each other on social media, but his profile is public, so I can see what he's up to. I wouldn't look. You're just going to get upset, and it's just going to make you, stress out, and, there's no reason to look. About a month ago, we were 4 weeks into no contact. He created a new Spotify playlist with a song about a guy regretting breaking up with his girlfriend and wondering if she would take him back. Well, that was probably meant for her, but I still wouldn't reach out because of that. It would be tempting, but that is not an indirect direct. There's no direct part to it. It's just him being indirect and seeing if she'll chase after him after that, and I would not do that. Other than that, I have not seen any hints from him. A few days ago, 6 weeks into no contact, his friend reached out to me, and they had bought a car together. This person and his ex had bought a car together. When he had left, he gave her the car. So the car is registered in this friend's name, and he wanted to know what happened with the car. Now, she said, my ex could have used this as a reason to reach out to me, but instead had the friend do it. I suppose he doesn't want to talk to me and give me any hope. Yeah, that's possible. It's hard to know what he was thinking there. Maybe he just didn't want to get in the middle of it. So I wouldn't overthink that. Just leave that be. Just deal with the friend about that. When we broke up, he said he would be fine, and things usually end up working out for him. It sounds like that Seinfeld episode. I wonder if that's what he saw. That's what Jerry says. He's like, oh, well, things are always wind up working out for me anyway. It sounds like he watched that clip and just is regurgitating it. And it also sounds like he's minimizing things, right? Like, this is somebody you said that you loved and you wanted to marry and start a family with, and you're just going to be fine after ending it? Or you're just going to try and brush it under the rug and have it come up later when you least expect it? He seems to be moving on and not looking back. He is very goal-driven and will work hard to achieve what he wants. He thinks I will be moving to that part of the country in the fall, but I probably won't. Do you think there's a chance he may change his mind, or does this sound like a lost cause? I tried letting go and focusing on myself, but when his friend reached out, it threw me back a couple of weeks. I had stopped looking at his social media, but I'm back at it now. All right, just to add, I just saw that he posted an Instagram story with him partying with girls on his trip. This was right before his friend reached out to me. Are these signs he's trying to keep me at a distance? Is he showing that he's moving on? He doesn't know that I see his Instagram stories, but my friends still follow him. I think he was just kind of posting because it's what he wanted to do. I don't think he was really considering if you were going to look at it or not. Maybe a little bit, but because you guys weren't friends on social media, and he didn't know you were looking, he probably didn't think too much about it. I think in his mind, he's kind of like, nope, I'm just not ready for a relationship right now, and I don't want this idea of a commitment to somebody for 50 years, which is kind of infuriating because that's what he led you to believe and told you that's what he wanted. And I think you should be angry at him because of that. And you got to be careful when you're getting to know people, guys. You always want to take your time. And the early stages of the relationship, people are going to put on a show. And you don't really know how they're going to do as a long-term partner. And this is why I tell you, you really have to understand attachment issues. Because when you understand attachment, you'll understand dating. And you'll understand to see through these games. There may have been a little bit of love bombing going on here in the beginning. She did say he was charismatic and charming. And those are often traits associated with a narcissist. Now, I'm certainly not saying he's a narcissist. But people can exhibit narcissistic qualities, right? And if we have some charming behavior, charismatic, and saying things like, oh, I want to marry you and this and that, moving in together right away, all of those things are a bit concerning. I don't know if she was like paying a majority of the bills and maybe he was taking advantage of that financially as well. But, you know, I'd be careful with this guy. I'd make him fight to get you back. Don't be just so excited that he's back in your life because you're like, oh, I love him. I'm so happy he's back. Don't do it, because look at how quickly he walked away. Look at how quickly he ended this and quick to date other people and act like he's unscathed. Well, I think it'll come back to get him, but not right away. I think it's going to take several months before he gets bored of partying and dating all these girls or whatever and really sees that there's no connection going on with these people, and then fearing that he's going to lose her, ironically, that's when he's going to be like, maybe I made a mistake. But I get the feeling that this guy will be the kind of guy that breadcrumbs you. Now, not everybody's going to do that, But this guy feels like a breadcrumber to me, so don't let him do it. Just, you say to him, look, if you want to repair this, you let me know, and look for some genuine, sincere, remorseful behavior and him acting like a real authentic adult to try and repair it. If it just feels like he's dropping in here and there, breadcrumbing you, then I'd say, forget this guy, lesson learned. And really spend time understanding attachment issues and working on your own. And the Creative Healing course will truly change your life. Just go look at the curriculum in it. There's like over 100 activities in there. And it's all different things. Art therapy with questions, reflective questions, cartoons, audio affirmations, visualizations, this thing called Story of Your Life, homeworks, all kinds of things that are truly going to help you become more secure and confident. So you have red flags right away with new people that you date and you weed them out, right? Because you're looking for somebody healthy and meaningful if you're looking for a long-term relationship. And if you don't evaluate things correctly, you're going to wind up with a broken heart. And that is like the worst feeling in the world. So do the work. It pays off one way or another. And of course, I'm here to help you along the way. If you want to get my help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net. I do email and I do Skype coaching. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.